What is up, YouTube? This is Alex, aka Foreign. A few weeks ago, MSI was kind enough to send me one of the laptops for review, the GE72 7RE Apache Pro with an i7-7700HQ and a GTX 1050 Ti in it. So I had some time to play around, to work with the laptop, and I have an opinion of it. So let's talk about it. In terms of specs, the GE72 can boast. It has a 4-core, 8-thread i7-7700HQ running at a base clock of around 2.8 GHz and a 3.8 GHz boost on the single fastest core. So it's a fairly decent CPU. In terms of the graphics cards, it has an Nvidia GTX 1050 Ti, which isn't the most powerful, but with 4 gigs of RAM, it makes for a very decent 1080p gaming card. In terms of comparing the GTX 1050 Ti with the desktop card, the same that has the same name, this one is more underclocked, so it means that it will perform maybe 5 to 10% slower than the equivalent desktop card. That's because the parts used in laptops must be underclocked to help them not overheat, because this is a very portable and small design. Now, the other specs are also fairly decent, with 16 gigs of 2400 MHz DDR4 RAM, a 256 GB PCI Express Samsung SSD, and a 1TB HGST drive. It's a very nice machine. Now, the SSD was large enough for me to actually fit the games that I play the most on it, and some other stuff together with Windows 10, and the 1TB HDD can be used for everything else. Now, the thing that I love the most about this laptop here is actually the screen. It's a 17-inch 1080p 120Hz panel, which you don't see often in laptops nowadays. Unfortunately, the laptop doesn't support G-Sync, but at only 2.7 kilograms, this makes this laptop a great LAN party machine. So you can take it with you to a LAN or a party where you can play games like Quake or DOTA or PUBG, games that actually benefit from the 120 Hz screen this laptop has. Now, let's talk about the chassis. It's very, very nice in my opinion. A brushed aluminum design with slight red accents here and there, and a beautifully placed MSI Dragon logo. All of this reminds me slightly of the Porsche car designs, and in my opinion, this makes the laptop look just great. The only thing that I dislike about the design is actually the bezels. Since the screen is only 17 inches, together with the bezels, it's actually 19.5 inches, which makes it quite bulky. In 2017, companies are slowly going bezel-less, and I think this laptop would benefit from doing the same. In terms of ports, the laptop has one headphone jack, one microphone jack, a USB Type-C port, 3 USB 3 ports, a mini display port, an HDMI port, an Ethernet port, and a microSD card reader. So basically it has all the stuff that you may need. In terms of the keyboard, this laptop uses the SteelSeries sidelit RGB keyboard that is very nice to use. I write lots of scripts and articles, and using this keyboard for my daily needs was very nice. You can change the color of the RGB keyboard not only with a pre-installed app on the laptop, but also with a button above the keyboard right here. In terms of audio, the GE72 boasts dual down-facing speakers, which isn't the best design, but for my YouTube and film watching needs, it was more than enough. If you want to game or listen to music, then here you should use headphones. Unfortunately, with headphones, I ran into a serious problem. The headphone jack would play sound only in my left earpiece. This wasn't a software issue or anything like that. Most probably the headphone jack was damaged during transport or whatever. It was very unfortunate that I ran into this problem, but I'm sure that if you were to have something similar with your machine, then either the shop where you bought it from or MSI themselves will gladly help you with your problem in terms of warranty. No one is safe from tech stuff malfunctioning or something's not working, unfortunately. Now let's talk about noise levels. When gaming, it was, well, pretty loud. During my multiple hour sessions of my currently favorite game, Divinity Original Sin 2, I had to turn up the volume from my regular levels so that I could hear the game over the sound of the fan. The thing with that is that though after 3 to 4 to 5 minutes of gaming, you stop noticing the hum of the fans, so they're not that loud. The pitch is pretty low, so you mostly hear the movement of the air, but not the fans. The thing here is that the laptop has a button that puts both fans to work at 100%, and that is, well, fairly loud. Fortunately, I didn't run into any instances where the laptop had to run at 100% fan speed, so that button is there mostly just to allow the person to cool down the machine if it gets noticeably hotter than the person would like. The laptop utilizes 6 different heat pipes to cool both the CPU and the GPU. MSI calls this their Cooler Boost 4 technology, and I will say that it's actually very good. During my long gameplay sessions of Divinity Original Sin 2, the Hardware Info 64 application did show that some cores on the CPU were throttled, but fortunately the GPU stayed well under 80 degrees Celsius. For a regular desktop user, that may seem like pretty high, but in terms of a portable machine that can play games on the go, modern games, fairly decently, I think that's very good. The GE72 Apache Pro comes pre-installed with Windows 10. That's very nice, but unfortunately together with Windows 10 you get a bunch of bloatware apps, some of which are pretty okay, but others have annoyed the hell out of me. For instance, Norton Antivirus was pretty annoying. So I uninstalled the apps that I didn't want to use but left some others. For instance, the SteelSeries app for controlling the keyboard lighting was pretty nice. Finally, let's talk about performance. I didn't have much time to play a lot of games on this machine, but the ones that I did play were very playable. Quake Champions, for instance, did very nice at medium settings. I got around 70 to 80 FPS on average, with slight hitches here and there, which seemed more likely to be software related than hardware related, but it was still a very much playable experience. Now, the other game that I played was Divinity Original Sin 2, one of my favorite games this year actually, and I left the settings at high, and the FPS was 40 to 60 depending on if you're in the city or in a very fiery area, for instance. The FPS does tend to stay in that 40 to 60 area. So again, a very much playable experience for a tactical RPG. In general, I was pleased with the performance and the looks of the machine. Now, the 17-inch 120Hz screen was amazing, the design looks great, and it was very nice to own this machine for the few weeks that I had the chance to work with it. But still, a few things I would love to see improved. First of all, of course, the bezels. Now, phone manufacturers, laptop manufacturers, monitor manufacturers are slowly moving to a bezel-less design. So that means that they're removing all these bezels from their machines and make them look much sleeker, and this allows the user to more easily immerse into what they're doing with their machine. I would love to see the bezels made smaller on all laptops, in fact. Another thing that I would love to see left in the past would be the optical drive. It takes a lot of space, and I honestly don't know anyone nowadays who actually uses an optical drive, so removing it would allow for either a bigger battery, better cooling, or maybe an extra hard drive, SSD tray, whatever. Basically, it's a pretty useless feature in my opinion that takes up a lot of space. But in general, apart from that, I think the MSI GE72 Apache Pro laptop, let's name it with the whole name, is top notch. Apart from that little headphone jack issue and the bezels, nothing really disturbed me about the laptop. I can say that even though the G72 only has a GTX 1050 Ti, so it isn't able to max out all the games that you want to play on it, optimizing the settings, lowering something to medium or to low, will allow you to take full control not only of the FPS but also the 120 Hz screen on the laptop, which is amazing for people who play twitchy shooters like Overwatch, CSGO or Quake Champions and who need those quick responses. In my opinion, the 120 Hz screen basically makes it worth the $1,400 MSRP that is often actually lower on sales or with discounts and stuff, so you can often find this laptop for maybe $1,200. I think it's worth it for the screen and for the portability factor of the said screen. If you're interested in something more powerful, a similar version with a GTX 1060 can be found for around $100 to $200 more, and you can find these links down in the description below. Basically, all the stuff that I talked about in this video can be found in the description below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know down in the comments if you already own a gaming laptop, how are you feeling about it? Or maybe you're in the market for a new laptop and what are you actually looking for in a portable gaming machine? Looking down in the description, basically clicking any links or leaving a like, a subscription, a comment, anything like that helps the channel grow and helps me put out more content similar to this. I thank you for your attention and hope to see you later.